Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I remember the first time I had to speak in front of a crowd. My hands were shaking. My heart was absolutely racing. And my mind, well, let's just say that I went completely blank. I felt frozen stiff, like I couldn't move or talk at all. In that very moment, I realized something that I believe many people today are already aware of. Stage fright is real, and sometimes it may feel almost impossible to overcome. For a long time, I thought me being afraid of speaking meant that I wasn't meant to talk in public. But over time, I realized that stage fright is not a weakness. Instead, it is just your body's way of telling you that, hey, this is important. The fear itself when you turn it into energy to help you speak, rather than something that holds you back. And today, I want to talk about how I went from stage fright to stage flight. How I turned my fear into confidence. And I want to share what I have learned with everyone here today, so that anyone, yes, anyone, even those who get scared speaking in front of crowds, can feel free to soar on stage. The first thing I discovered was that fear and excitement feel almost the same in your own body. Take a look at this. Shaky hands, quick breaths, and a racing heart. The only difference is in the story we tell ourselves. For example, when I told myself that I was scared or that this was impossible, expectedly, I shrank. But when I told myself that everything was achievable or that I was excited, something very strange happened. My body listened. And since then, I stopped trying to fight the nerves. Instead of trying to calm down completely, I let the butterflies fly. And I told myself, this energy is fuel. Athletes feel it before a race. Musicians feel it before a concert. And so, I asked myself, why should speakers be any different? The second thing I discovered was that preparation is kindness to your future self. Every single time I practice out loud, or rehearse in an empty room, or even the backseat of my car, I wasn't just practicing. I was building a safety net for myself. Because you know what? Confidence isn't magic. It's memory. It's your mind going, we've done this before, that we're okay. But sometimes, preparation alone is not nearly enough. The biggest test of that lesson came when I found myself in a room with more than 50 people staring right back at me. They were from 12 nations. Yes, you heard me right. 12 nations. 12 cultures, 12 accents, and most importantly, 12 completely different ways of seeing this world. And I was supposed to present in a language that wasn't even mine, which was German. Not only that, I had to present about my own nation, my childhood, my stories, my memories, and everything in between. And so suddenly, it didn't just seem like a mere speech anymore. It felt more like responsibility. I remember standing off to the side just before my turn to speak, holding my notes so tightly that they crumpled at the edges. I remember rehearsing sentences out loud in my own head, translating words, stopping phrases, and worrying about pronunciation. Because every single TH sound felt dangerous. And every pause felt like failure, just waiting to happen. My thoughts spiraled. What if I mess up? What if they don't understand me? What if I embarrass myself? Or worse, misrepresent the nation that I come from? And so, when they called my name up on stage, my legs felt heavier than stone. And as I was walking up to that stage, I remember thinking to myself that, hey, there's still time to run. And absolutely no one would blame you. But I didn't. Instead, I took one breath, then another, and I started speaking. Well, at first, my voice shook. I could hear it. Every single word that came out of my mouth felt fragile, like it might shatter in half at any given moment. But then, something strange, small, yet significant happened. Someone in the front row smiled. Someone else leaned forward, genuinely listening. And someone else in the back row nodded and smiled. They weren't judging me. They were simply curious, and they wanted to learn. That was the moment when everything shifted. I stopped trying to sound perfect, and more importantly, I stopped trying to impress them. Instead, I talked to them like how one would describe the weather. Person to person. I told them about the streets I grew up on, the festivals we celebrated, the food that reminds me of home, and those little traditions that seem ordinary to me, yet fascinating to others. I shared stories my family tells at dinner, and I shared what makes my country beautiful to me. And the more personal I became, the less scared I felt. Because in that very moment, I had realized something powerful. And it's that no one in that room could tell my story better than me. Not through perfect grammar, and definitely not through flawless pronunciation, but just me. And by the middle of the talk, my hands were not shaking anymore. And I wasn't glued to my own notes. I started making eye contact. And once, I even joked a little. People laughed. And that laughter felt like wings opening. The same stage that had felt like a trap 5 minutes earlier now seemed like freedom. That was the day I learned something important. And it's that stage fright doesn't disappear. Instead, it transforms into focus, into connection. It became fuel instead of a wall. And that became stage fright. And since then, every single time I feel that nervous flutter in my chest before I start speaking, I recognize it differently. I don't think, oh no, this feeling is bad for me. No. I think of it as something good. Because this matters. And because confidence isn't about feeling fearless. It is about finding the strength to continue speaking even when your heart pounds. And it's about believing that your story and your voice deserves space in this world. And if someone like me, speaking in front of 50 strangers from 12 different nations, can find the courage to keep speaking, then I believe anyone can. Because stage fright is basically your brain going, "Oh no, everyone's looking right at me," and hitting that alarm button. Your body pumps out extra energy, and that energy is what makes your hands tremble or your voice to shake. It may seem like something is wrong with you, but in reality, nothing is. It's just a simple stress response. The real problem here is when your attention turns inward. You start watching yourself, and you start judging every single word that comes out of your mouth. That's when your brain forgets a line that you knew perfectly 5 minutes ago. But what actually helps is simple, practical psychology, not magic tricks. First, change the meaning. Instead of trying to think something like, "I'm dying up here," change it to something like, "My body is simply just getting ready." Same symptoms, different story. Secondly, control your body just enough to keep the fear at bay. Take deep breaths, then long exhales. Because this signals to your system that everything is okay, that everything is under control. Thirdly, aim your attention outward. Focus on your message and your audience. Think of it as something like, "I'm helping these people understand this." And arguably, the most important of all, practice in real conditions. Record yourself, say it out loud, speak in front of one friend, then 3, then an entire class. Anything works. And that's the best part. Because your brain learns through experience and knowledge. And once again, you don't feel confident because you are fearless. You become confident because you have trained your mind and body to handle this fear and still find the strength to continue. And so, the next time your hands start trembling, the next time your mind goes blank, or the next time you start thinking that this task is impossible, take a deep breath, then an even longer exhale. Focus your mind and brain on one simple task, the first line. Step forward anyways, and look at one person in the crowd like you're trying to share something real, not trying to sound perfect. And speak. Because on the other side of stage fright is flight. Thank you.